What's up, everybody? Welcome to my top 100 favorite movies list. Yes. So I think it was last year I did my top 30 favorite movies list. Um, but since then I've been thinking, well, I kind of want to admit this might be something I might do for each year, because my tastes change a lot. Uh, and so this might be a thing I might do every year where I give like an updated version of my top favorite movies list. Um, but yeah, I thought maybe top 50, but then I was thinking, well, I'm going to try top 100. And yeah, I I did it. I came up with 100 movies, and this is going to be a four-part series. This is part one, of course. This will be from 100 to 76, and then next Saturday will be part two with with number 75 to 51. Then part three the next Wednesday will be from 50 to 26, and then part four, the final part, will be from 25 to 1. And that will be the next Saturday. So yeah, so the next three videos will be, you know, uh, will be the next parts of this series. So yeah, of the list. All right, so keep in mind before I get started. Keep in mind these are my personal favorites. So if you don't like some of these movies, that's not my problem. Sorry, I love them. And if your favorite movie on here, if your favorite movie isn't on here, I apologize for that. Either I've seen it, I don't like it, or I've seen it and I do like it, but maybe it's just not enough to be one of my favorites. Not even top 100, or I haven't seen it. So yeah, just keep all that in mind. This is probably going to be a odd top 100 list, I imagine, because I know there's some movies on here that people are going to be like, "Wow, really? That's your in your top favorites list?" Yeah, all of these are obviously. So yeah, let's I guess I think I explained it all. Um, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? With my number 100. All right. So coming in at number 100 is at least as of right now, my personal favorite David Fincher movie. And this might surprise some people because it won't be what you're expecting. Because when you ask if you ask someone what's their favorite David Fincher movie, they're either going to say Fight Club or Seven or The Social Network or maybe something else. But this one, not a lot of people. If they do like this movie, it's probably not their favorite David Fincher movie, but it's my personal favorite. So my number 100 is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Yeah, I know. What can I say? I love this movie. I think it's Brad Pitt's best performance, honestly. Like, I gotta be honest, I'm not a big Brad Pitt fan. I mean, he's all right. He's okay. He's just not one of my favorite actors. I find him to be maybe just a tad bit overrated, just a tad. I don't hate him though, and he can be good. And this movie definitely proves it. This is definitely, in my opinion, his best performance. Like I said, Kate Blanchett is amazing in this movie. I always love Kate Blanchett though. But yeah, she's great as well. They have great chemistry together. And even the story. Hot take here, I think this is a 10 times better film than Forrest Gump. And the reason why I say that is because it was actually written by the same guy who wrote Forrest Gump. And I'm going to say spoilers, Forrest Gump is not on this list. Sorry. I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but I am a huge fan of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I love it. I think the makeup department did a great job. Like with him like looking old and stuff, and all that, and just yeah, it's just a fantastic movie. I like it a lot. It's not even that boring. It's a slow movie, but it's not boring to me. So some people might think it is. It's not to me though. But then again, none of these movies are boring, so to me, so yeah. Yeah, that's my number 100, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. All right. So, and now coming in at number 99, we have one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. That is The Cable Guy, which I actually have on VHS. I don't have a DVD or Blu-ray. I need to get a DVD or maybe a Blu-ray of this movie, but I just have the VHS right now. But yeah, I actually rewatched this not that long ago, and I just forgot how awesome it is and how hilarious this movie is. Um, yeah, one of my favorite Jim Carrey movies. I got another one. I don't know if it's going to be in this part. No, not in this part. But there is another Jim Carrey movie I have higher up on the list that I like better. But Jim Carrey plays this crazy dude who is a cable guy, and he all he wants is a friend, and he harasses Matthew Broderick in this movie. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's a dark comedy, and when this movie came out, most people didn't like it. Like they didn't like that they made Jim Carrey kind of a villain in this movie because everyone loved Jim Carrey back then. But I'm glad that he plays like a villain because I mean, for one thing, he's really good at it, but also I don't know, it's just kind of different, from his other stuff. I mean, it's still kind of, you could definitely tell it's like a Jim Carrey character, but it's still a little bit different, and I kind of prefer this character over a lot of his characters. I mean, definitely over like Ace Ventura. So, but yeah, it's a crazy movie. It was also directed by Ben Stiller of all people. But yeah, I love The Cable Guy, and that's my number 99. All right, coming at number 98. I don't actually own this one yet, but this movie is by the same people who did the Best Picture winner of last year, which was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Spoilers, that movie is not on this list. Sorry. However, the other popular movie that they did is on this list, and it's a movie I did review long ago. You can check it out on my channel if you haven't seen it already. But my number 98 is Swiss Army Man. Yeah, starring Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Um, Another weird comedy, much like The Cable Guy, about a guy stranded on an island, Paul Dano, and he finds this dead body played by Daniel Radcliffe, who is kind of dead, but kind of also somewhat alive, and it's so bizarre. He farts a lot, and he does all these weird stuff to it's a weird movie to explain, but it's pretty amazing, I have to be honest. I since rewatched it, and on this last time I watched it, I loved it even more than the first time, and yeah, it's good enough to be on my top 100 list. It's pretty weird. It's very much out there, but I enjoy it very much. Yeah, Swiss Army Man. That's my number 98. All right, coming at number 97, we have my favorite Star Wars movie. My personal favorite Star Wars movie. I'm sorry, it is not Empire Strikes Back. It is actually Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. If you saw my ranking for the Star Wars movies a couple years ago, I ranked this at number 1. And yeah, it's my personal favorite Star Wars movie. Is it a great movie? Not exactly, but it is, you have to admit, it is the best out of the prequel trilogy. You have to admit that. It really is. And yeah, and like, one thing I'll say about this movie, Hayden Christensen, or whatever his name is, I don't know if I say his name right, but Hayden Christensen is actually not too bad in this movie. Like, he was terrible in Attack of the Clones, but he's actually decent in this movie. So, yeah, that's cool. Also, this movie is very funny. This is definitely the funniest Star Wars movie. But there's also some actually awesome moments in the film as well. And, who can forget, of course, the iconic battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's just great. Yeah, I love Revenge of the Sith. It's my favorite Star Wars movie. And yeah, and it is my number 97. Okay, coming in at number 96, we have another movie I don't own yet, but this is my favorite Robert Eggers movie. The Lighthouse is good, and I do like The Witch a lot, but however, there's another movie that he did that I just happen to like better than those, and I think it's really good. It's my second favorite movie of last year, of 2022. We'll get much later. We'll get to my favorite, but that is The Northman. I think I'll go and say The Northman is a million times better version of Gladiator, which is a movie I honestly can't stand. I'm sorry, but I hate Gladiator. But The Northman is fantastic. It's kind of similar to Gladiator, but just 10 times better. And I know a lot of people say it's like similar to like Hamlet, but which maybe it is, but I don't know. But yeah, I love The Northman. It's just so cool. I love the visuals in the movie. Everyone's performance wise is great, especially Alexander Skarsgård and Anya Taylor-Joy, both fantastic in the film. You also got, of course, like Willem Dafoe, Ethan Hawke, Nicole Kidman. Even my favorite singer Bjork is in the movie. Yeah, it's just a badass movie. Just a badass revenge movie. I love it. Yeah, 96, that's The Northman. Alright, I'm going to get a drink real quick. Alright. So, this is kind of a weird movie to follow The Northman with, but whatever. So coming at number 95, we have the first animated movie on here. There's actually a handful of animated films on here that I'm kind of surprised made it on the top 100. But yeah, my number 95 is a Pixar movie. Not my favorite Pixar movie. There's at least 3 others I like better, but it's a movie I grew up with ever since I was a kid. I always loved it since I was a kid. That is Finding Nemo. Yeah, went from The Northman to Finding Nemo. Now, I will say, though, one thing that those two movies do have in common is they both have Willem Dafoe in them. So, yeah. Yeah, Finding Nemo. Just an awesome animated movie, Pixar movie. Yeah, and it's just really good. It's one of the best Pixar movies. It was one of the ones I loved ever since I was a kid. I grew up with it. It's cool. It's funny. It's got some great characters. Marlin, Nemo, Dory, and of course other characters like Crush the sea turtle, Bruce the shark. Yeah, I love all the Tank Gang too, like Gil, who's voiced by Willem Dafoe, like I mentioned. Yeah, it's great. I love Finding Nemo. Yeah, that is my number. That was number. Sorry, I lost the number. 90 something. All right, give me a minute. All right, that's number 95. Finding Nemo. Yeah. All right, coming in at number 94, we have a movie that probably not a lot of people have heard of. Now, it is by a director that everyone has heard of, or at least most people. Every movie lover, of course, loves this guy. And this movie too is also just proof that this is just a fantastic director. He's done like almost every movie that of any genre, pretty much. And like this is definitely a director you could say, even if you don't like all of his movies, there's at least one you'll probably enjoy. This isn't the only one by him. I got more, but But my number 94 is a Martin Scorsese movie. Yes, and that is his debut film. Who's That Knocking at My Door? Yeah, you probably never even heard of this movie unless you know you've seen or at least maybe you've heard of it just because it's Martin Scorsese's debut film. But yeah, it's one of his most underrated films, without a doubt. Like, I don't think this movie gets enough praise. Like, I think the best I ever hear, of a good review I ever hear of this movie is just, it's decent. It's just a decent Martin Scorsese movie. But you could definitely tell it's his debut film. Honestly, I think this is one of his best. I've said it. Mostly just due to, with filmmaking, really, because story wise it's not the best. It doesn't have the best story, but like that, yeah, I can understand someone not real liking it for that aspect. But if you are like into film, just like how film is made and stuff, yeah, I think this film is brilliant. I just love it. I just love how it was made. I love the black and white cinematography. It looks great. Harvey Keitel is in this movie, and this is maybe his debut film or one of his first films, and he is fantastic in it. And yeah, it's really cool. There's some good scenes, some really cool like musical montages and stuff that I think is done very well. There's even a song. There's even a scene with a Doors song in it, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the first movie to have a song by The Doors in it, because this came out the same year, 1967. It came out the same year as the first two Doors albums. So, yeah, and that song is The End, which I know The End was also in, I think it was Apocalypse Now, but yeah, this movie actually did it first. So, yeah, but awesome movie. I love it. It's kind of hard to find, but if you ever do come across it, I recommend it. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. It is kind of a required taste, but I love it. Who's That Knocking on My Door? That is number 94. That rhymed. Alright, coming in at number 93, we have a comedy, a classic comedy movie, that is National Lampoon's Vacation, directed by Harold Ramis. And yeah, I think this is my favorite Harold Ramis directed movie. Yeah, the first one, of course, in the series of the Vacation series. I'm not like a huge fan of the series. Christmas Vacation is pretty good. What's the second one? Was it European Vacation? That was okay. Wasn't a fan of Vegas Vacation, and the last one, the newest one, the one from 2015 with fucking Ed, what's his name? Not Ed O'Neill. I forgot his last name, but Ed Helms from The Office. Yeah, that one can go to hell. That was a terrible movie, but this is the first one. The one that started it all is definitely the best. I love Vacation. Chevy Chase is fantastic in this movie. He's hilarious. I like Beverly D'Angelo as well. And even John Candy is in this movie. Makes a short appearance. He's really funny. Yeah, just a really funny movie. National Lampoon's Vacation, and one of the best comedy road trip movies, and that is number 93. And I also have another, ironically, the next movie, number 92, is also a National Lampoon movie, and that is Animal House. Animal House is one of my favorite comedies of all time. It's the best college comedy ever made. Of course, you got John Belushi. He's hilarious in this movie. I like also there's some other funny characters like what's his name, Flounder I think might be my favorite. Kevin Bacon's even in this movie. Yeah, it's just a really funny movie. There might be some people that might say, and then there's some moments, or at least, yeah, maybe this movie didn't age well, or maybe there's some moments that didn't age well. Whatever. It was the 70s, you know. It's still a great movie. Animal House, yeah. That's my number 92. Okay, my number 91 is a horror movie, and I think this was the movie that made me say, maybe horror isn't that bad of a genre, because before I saw this movie, I wasn't a big horror movie fan. Of course, there were still a few that I enjoyed, but this one, like, really made me say, okay, horror can actually be really good, because this was a movie I was not expecting to be very good, and I ended up loving it. As of right now, I've only seen it once, but it's still been stuck with me ever since I've seen it, and yeah, it's one of my favorite horror movies. That is my number 91, Candyman. Yeah, the original, of course. I haven't seen the newest one, but yeah, this is a crazy movie, actually. Tony Todd as Candyman, just holy shit. He is absolutely amazing in this film, and the dedication too that he did for this character is just crazy, but true. It just proves how awesome of an actor he is. Also Virginia Madsen too. She's amazing in this movie. This gave me a huge crush on her, but yeah, just a fantastic movie. I love Candyman. Also, I'll give a little shout out to Philip Glass, who did the score for this movie. His score in this film is amazing too. But yeah, and that ending is probably the best horror movie ending I have ever seen. Yeah, Candyman. That is my number 91. All right, coming in at number 90, we have a movie that is based on a TV show. A cartoon. I talked about this in my top 10 favorite cartoons of all time. The show, that is. But well, I think I did mention the movie too. But that is, of course, Beavis and Butthead Do America. I love the show, but I got to be honest, the movie is even better than the show. The movie is just fucking hilarious, and it's just a great road trip movie. And you also got quite a bit of like a star-studded cast in this. You got like Bruce Willis and Demi Moore in this movie. You also got Robert Stack and Cloris Leachman and Greg Kinnear, David Letterman, even Richard Linklater, one of my favorite directors. And I don't know if any of his movies. No, I guess none of his movies are in this part, but his movies, a lot of his movies will be on this top 100 list for sure. But yeah, even Richard Linklater has like a short little appearance in the film. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, just a hilarious movie, Beavis and Butthead Do America. Yeah, that's my number 80. No, 90. Sorry. My number 90, Beavis and Butthead Do America. Alright, coming in number 89, we have From Dusk Till Dawn. Crazy Robert Rodriguez movie. You maybe even could say Quentin Tarantino as well, because he did write the movie. But, and he's in it, of course, too. But yeah, like Tarantino, like I said, but you also got George Clooney and Harvey Keitel and Juliette Lewis, all great in this movie. This movie proves that you can put in like two different genres in the same movie. Like have the first half be one genre and then have the second half be another. It's insane how they do that, but it worked very well, I have to say. I think there is some people that just like the first half, and then when it gets to the second half, they're just like, eh. But I think they're both great. And yeah, this movie is actually really funny, too. Like, this movie is surprisingly really funny. One of the best horror comedies, in my opinion. But yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn, amazing movie. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And that's my number 89. All right, coming in number 88. As of right now, this is actually my, not counting Pixar, this is my favorite Disney movie, and that is The Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, this was a movie, of course, that I grew up with. I always loved it since. This is definitely like the funniest Disney movie ever. The humor in this movie is just chef's kiss. It's great. You got, of course, David Spade and John Goodman. They're both great in this movie, and Eartha Kitt and Patrick Warburton, as well as Yzma and Kronk. Yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah, I love The Emperor's New Groove. It's just so funny, very quotable. Yeah, I love Emperor's New Groove, and that's my number 88. Okay, coming in number 87, we have a movie that some people will also, they'll probably be surprised I have this in the top 100. I don't think a whole lot of people like this movie, but I actually think that this is a very good romantic comedy movie. That is The Girl Next Door. Yeah, and of course the 2004 movie. I know there was one later on that was like a horror movie, but or a thriller or something like that. But no, the 2004 comedy movie. Yeah, man, every time I watch this movie, I'm just like how surprised I am of. I'm just very surprised of like how good this movie actually is. Like, and it's underrated. No one talks about it. Not, or at least not enough people. And they still might think it's a bad movie, but it really isn't. And man, this movie, I mean, it did terrible in the box office, and that's because of how it was marketed. It was marketed not right at all. Like, even the way this case looks, like, they make it look like it's like the trailers and like this poster or whatnot make it look like it's like a sex comedy. And while yes, there are sexual jokes in this movie, it's actually not a sex comedy. It's actually a romantic comedy. It just so happens to be about a guy who falls in love with a girl who used to be a porn star. So of course you're going to have sexual jokes, but they work very well. They are kind of, some of them might be a little cringy, but in a good way, like kind of like Superbad. Wow, yeah, that movie's kind of cringy, but it's still really funny. That's how this movie is, and has some really good dramatic moments actually too, surprisingly, and it's just a great romantic comedy movie. It's one of my favorite romantic comedies. Not my favorite, but definitely up there. One of my favorites. Yeah. Number 87, The Girl Next Door. Alright, coming in number 86, we have Black Swan. This is Darren Aronofsky. And not my favorite, but I think my third favorite of his. And this is just a crazy horror film about a ballerina who wants to be perfect. And Natalie Portman, amazing. She plays the character very well. And a surprisingly good performance by Mila Kunis, who I'm not a big fan of, honestly, but she's actually surprisingly really good in the movie. Yeah, it's just a really cool movie. Visuals are really awesome. There's some moments that are kind of scary-ish, but it's really cool. This is just a really well done horror movie, and it proves that you can make a good horror movie out of just something that, a premise that doesn't necessarily have to be horror. Like, you read the premise of this movie, it doesn't sound like a horror movie at all, but it is, and it worked very well. So yeah, Black Swan, that is number 86. Okay, coming in at, oh wait, no, that's not it. Okay, coming at number 85, we have another movie I don't own yet, and I talked about this in my Tim Burton ranking. I had this at number 3. I think this is Tim Burton's most underrated film, and that is Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children. Yeah, this this might be the most recent, um, like the most recent first watch on this whole list. But yeah, this movie blew me away. Like I was surprised of how much I loved it, and it's just it's just a really cool story about these kids who are kind of like mutants, like an X-Men, except they're called particulars, but they do have like these special powers and stuff, and it's really cool. Eva Green is great as the title character. Asa Butterfield could have been better, but he was okay. And Sam Jackson plays the villain. He was fantastic, and it's just a really awesome movie. I actually really enjoyed it. Not like a not like a great movie, but in terms of like story and characters and even the world, I think it's amazing. So yeah, yeah, number 85 is Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children, and I need to get it someday on DVD or Blu-ray. But yeah. All right, coming in at number 84, we have a Coen Brothers movie, and that is Inside Llewyn Davis. For my money, this is probably their most underrated film. I love this movie. I did a review on this actually. Go check it out. But yeah, Oscar Isaac is amazing as the title character. Just about him as a folk musician who's trying to make it big. But yeah, it's really cool. Carrie Mulligan's great. She's really funny in the movie. John Goodman, same. Also, a surprisingly good performance by Justin Timberlake, and also Adam Driver has a short appearance too, and I love his appearance so much. But yeah, and this mixes like comedy and drama pretty well too. Like the way it looks, it doesn't even look like a comedy. It just looks like a straight up drama. But the comedy works very well, and it's hilarious too. Yeah, great movie, Inside Llewyn Davis, and that is my number 84. Okay, coming in number 83, we have a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, and my personal favorite Adam Sandler movie, and that is Punch Drunk Love. Yeah, Adam Sandler's the best performance, hands down. I know some people will say Uncut Gems. I'm honestly not even a fan of that movie. Sorry, but I love Punch Drunk Love. Just a great love story. Adam Sandler, his best performance, like I said. Emily Watson is great too. Even Philip Seymour Hoffman too, who's not in the movie a lot, but every time he is on screen, he's just great and hilarious too. Yeah, the humor too. This is surprisingly like has really good humor, but it's not your typical Adam Sandler humor. It's different, but it just proves how great of an actor Adam Sandler can be. And I love the cinematography in this movie too, and the score, the music is great, and even that song from the Popeye movie that Shelley Duvall sings, "He Needs Me," is in this movie, and they use it very well too. It's just fantastic. Yeah, Punch Drunk Love, that is number 83. All right, coming in number 82, we have another Pixar movie, and that is Ratatouille. Yeah, this was a movie that I liked as a kid, but I didn't like love it until I got older. And yeah, I love this movie more as an adult. Like, it just has a really good message. Anyone can cook, which not literally, but it actually means you can do whatever you want to do. Nothing should stop you. But it's so good. It's just a really good movie. Remy's a great character, who is played by what's his name, Patton Oswalt. Great performance there. Yeah, Ratatouille, great film, and that is my number 82. Okay, number 81 is another Darren Aronofsky film that I like better than Black Swan, and this is a movie that's not for everybody, but I do think everyone should see this movie at least once, and that is Requiem for a Dream. Yeah, Not an easy watch. Not by any means an easy watch. It's very sad and depressing, and it gets insane in that third act. Like by the end you're just like but it's done brilliantly. The whole film is done brilliantly. Just yeah, I love the cinematography and editing, just amazing. And all the performances are great. You know, you got Jared Leto, which I know everyone gives shit to Jared Leto, but this movie actually proves that he can act. Yeah, he's really good. Jennifer Connelly and Marlon Wayans as well. But of course, the best has to go to Ellen Bernstein. She is fantastic in this movie, and she's actually the one I feel sorry for the most in this film. Just the stuff that she goes through. Like, wow. It's insane. But yeah, like I said, not an easy watch, but still a great movie. I still love this movie. Yeah, Requiem for a Dream, that is number 81. Okay, coming at number 80, we have a Spike Jonze movie, and that is Adaptation. Yeah, this was written by, of course, Charlie Kaufman, and the movie is about Charlie Kaufman trying to write a screenplay. That's what this movie's about. And it's genius. It's genius how he did this movie, how he wrote this movie, and how Spike Jonze directed it. Nicolas Cage, of course, plays Charlie Kaufman fantastically. Also, his twin brother Donald as well. He's just great at, yeah, he was fantastic in this movie. And then you also got, of course, Meryl Streep and Chris Cooper, who the latter won a Oscar for, which I kind of don't understand why Chris Cooper won an Oscar, but yet Nicolas Cage or Meryl Streep didn't, but whatever. He was still good. Meryl Streep as well. Yeah, just a really cool movie. I recommend this movie to everybody. It's really cool. It makes you think. Just very well done. I love it. I did a review on this too. Check it out. But yeah. However, it's not my favorite Spike Jonze movie. It was for a while, but then I watched another movie. I rewatched another movie, which is the next one at number 79. That is Her, which is also another movie I reviewed. But Her is I think this is Spike Jonze. I think this is Spike Jonze's best movie. I rewatched this because I'm working on a Spike Jonze ranking, and wow, yeah, this is definitely his best film. You know, of course, I have to be honest. I think as of right now, my favorite actor, Joaquin Phoenix, he is fantastic in this film as Theodore, and you also got Amy Adams and Rooney Mara, Olivia Wilde, even Chris Pratt too. Kind of weird, but you know they all do good performances. Well, Chris Pratt is okay, but everyone else I mentioned, they're all great. And also Scarlett Johansson. Of course, I didn't forget her as Samantha, the love interest who's a operating system. But yeah, all she does is just a voice, but she's fantastic in this film. And even though you don't see her in the movie, she still has fantastic chemistry with Joaquin Phoenix. And yeah, it's a really good movie. It's funny, it's sad, it's just a great romance movie that I highly recommend. Yeah, Her, that is number 79. Okay, coming in at number 78, we have another Martin Scorsese film. Another one I also think is very underrated, and that is Hugo. Yeah, this is Martin Scorsese doing a kids movie, and this was his follow-up to, in my opinion, his worst movie. I'm sorry, but I can't stand Shutter Island. I'm sorry, but this was his follow-up to Shutter Island, a horror movie. And then he followed this one up with The Wolf of Wall Street, which I just think that's a hilarious pattern, just with those three movies back to back to back. But Hugo, out of those three movies, is honestly my favorite. Like, I just think this is just outstanding filmmaking, and it's about filmmaking. That's just great. About, of course, the history of filmmaking, like the early days of filmmaking. Asa Butterfield again, and he is actually better in this movie than he is in Miss Peregrine. But yeah, he's really good. Chloe Grace Moretz as well, Ben Kingsley, and Sacha Baron Cohen, who's probably the comic relief in this film. But yeah, this movie is just really awesome. The visuals are great. This was actually a 3D movie when it came out. I never seen it in 3D, but I imagine it looked awesome. Yeah, I love Hugo. Really awesome movie. And that is number 78. Okay, we got two more. Number 77 is a Stanley Kubrick movie, and that is The Shining. Yeah, Man, I have to be honest. Before, I was kind of thinking that maybe I liked its sequel, Doctor Sleep, a little bit better. However, after watching Doctor Sleep, which I did a Your Cousins or Critics episode of, check it out if you haven't already. After rewatching that with Cade, yeah, that movie's definitely not better than The Shining. I'm sorry. This Doctor Sleep's okay, but The Shining is a great film, especially filmmaking wise. Like, I think The Shining is Stanley. Even though it's not my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie, I like two others better. But I do think that The Shining is his best shot film. Like, the cinematography in this film and editing, it's just amazing. And, like, every shot in this movie looks great. But you also got great performances from, of course, Jack Nicholson, and Danny Lloyd and Scatman Crothers. And, of course, Shelley Duvall, who, bless that woman's heart, she had to go through hell making that movie. Oh, fuck Stanley Kubrick. Great director, but I hate him for that aspect. But yeah, great movie. I should mention the score too, and that iconic theme song, just amazing. Yeah. The Shining, that is number 77. All right, and finally, coming at number 76, the final movie for part 1 I will be talking about is a movie by my favorite filmmaker of all time, Mr. David Lynch. That is Blue Velvet. Yeah, and I know some people might say this is their favorite, but there's at least two others that I like better, and I'll talk about those later on. One of them you should know. I'm going to be talking about if you know my channel. But Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet is a fantastic movie. A great thriller movie. You might even call this a horror movie in some aspects. It kind of is. But definitely like a great thriller movie for sure. Maybe even mystery too. Like, this was honestly the blueprint to his famous TV show Twin Peaks. Also, it has Kyle MacLachlan in it, so there's that. But honestly, I like Blue Velvet better than Twin Peaks. Sorry, I'm not a big even though I'm a huge David Lynch fan, I'm not a big Twin Peaks fan. I'm sorry. But Blue Velvet, though, fantastic film. Great performance, of course, from Kyle MacLachlan, like I said, but also Isabella Rossellini. She's great. Laura Dern. And, of course, the late, great Dennis Hopper, who steals the show, who steals this movie. His performance as Frank Booth, which is on first watch terrifying, but then on rewatch is actually hilarious, but not in a bad way, in a great way. Like, he's very over the top, but he is amazing in this movie. On first watch, he's terrifying to watch, but then if you rewatch, at least to me, he's kind of funny, though, on rewatch. But I still love his performance. I still love Frank Booth as a villain. Maybe even my favorite movie villain of all time. Depends. But one, I will say, there is an issue that I do have with this movie, which proves why it's not higher up on the list. I'm not a big fan of the romance, not of Kyle MacLachlan and Isabella Rossellini. That's good, but I'm not a huge fan of the romance between Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern. Their chemistry as friends is great, but whenever they actually become, and this might be spoilers, but whenever they actually start being a couple, I don't know. Something's off about it. I don't know what it is. I just remember last time watching this movie, I didn't really buy their romance as a couple. Like again, they were great as just friends, but whenever they started dating, I was like, what? Like I don't know. It's just kind of odd to me. I don't know what it is. Just yeah. But that's my only issue. Other than that, this is still a great movie. It's even shot very well. I love the cinematography, and yeah, the music's great too. Yeah, Blue Velvet. That is my number 70. That was number 76. Yes, my number 76. Blue Velvet. All right, there we go. Now that is part one of my top 100 favorite movies from 100 to 76. Stay tuned. Next week, or sorry, this coming Saturday. Stay tuned for part two, and that will be from 75 to 51. So look out for that. All right. So in the comments, if you can, if you can, that is, give me your top 100 favorite movies of all time. It's not an easy thing to do, so if not top 100, I understand. At least maybe top 10 or something, or just whatever. I am curious to know though. So yeah. All right. So please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And I'll see you later for part two. All right. Peace.